Today we'll be building a program where it prompts you to enter a word and then it prints all the even characters. Today's tutorial is targeted at complete beginners, which means I'll be explaining every single line of code and giving you useful information that'll help you learn Python faster. Let's start by just printing anything at all. So to do this, we type in print, open parentheses, double quotes, and then we're going to type trjhtech. Or you could type in whatever you want here, and then we're going to hit this play button. Now what you'll see here is this runs in the terminal and PowerShell. That's what PS means. And here is where I installed Python. And then here is the location where this current file that I'm working in is saved. And then below that is the output, trjhtech. So don't be intimidated by this. Now this trjhtech that I did here, this is called a string, and this is called hard coding. So instead of just putting trjhtech in here, let's declare a variable and then print it from a variable instead. So we're going to get rid of that line of code. And let's say channel underscore name. And now in Python, what we do is we separate different words with an underscore. And when you're naming variables, it's really important to give descriptive names because it makes the program more readable. So now we would go $, double quotes, trjhtech. I can type. Typing's hard. And then print, open parenthesis, and then we type channel. And see how it's coming up here with channel underscore name? I can just hit the tab key. It's going to fill that in for me. One of the nice things about using an IDE, especially if you have complex variable names or you're using like 3-part variable names with a bunch of underscores under it, you're probably going to struggle to type that out accurately every single time. Let's run this and we see that we got the same output. Now for strings, you also could instead do single quotes. So if we go ahead and run this now, we once again get the same output. The reason why you could use either single quotes or double quotes is in case you actually want to use an apostrophe or you want to use double quotes in your string, it makes it easier to weave those with each other. But just make sure that the same one that you use is on both sides. Now let's go ahead and print out an individual character. So this would be called a character, just a single one of these. And you could do this by putting brackets around it and then giving the index value. Now we're going to put in 1 here and play and see it gave R. It did not give T. So why is that? Well, indexing in Python starts at 0, not at 1. And in a lot of computing, it works this way. And the reason why it works this way is it has to do how it works behind the scenes. So what's actually happening is we're declaring a space in memory where this is going to be stored. And then each individual character is stored somewhere. And when we're doing this function, we're giving the offset of the memory location. So this is one offset from the start of the string. So let me go ahead and just type this out here so you can visualize what the indexes are. It would be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So each character corresponds to these indexes. What we want to basically do is print out 0, 2, 4, and 6. So let's go ahead and do a hard-coded solution here. So I'm going to actually just copy this instead of typing it all out. So Control C to copy, hit enter, Control V, and we're going to change this 2, 4, and 6. And we get TJTC. But this is a hard-coded solution. That's not really good in the real world to ever do a hard-coded solution like this. What we eventually want to get to is a point where they can give us any string and it's going to loop through. So what if they give us a size 10? Well, this wouldn't work, right? Or if they gave us a size 4, this also wouldn't work. Now, up until this point of time, what we've been doing is just running the program line by line. So it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. What if we want to repeat certain lines of code? We use something called a loop for that. So let me just show you how we can go through every single one of the letters in a string and print each of them out. We will type 4, and then we need a variable to store each individual character. So we're going to say character in channel underscore name, and then we have to do a colon, enter, and then it tabs it in. So everything we want inside this loop needs to have one tab in. And now we're going to print character. And we're going to go ahead and get rid of this and play the code. And now we see that we've printed out each individual character. This is called iterating. Now we can't really use what we just did here to print just even or odd characters because we don't have access to the index. How do we loop through all the characters' indexes? So first, let me introduce you to a concept of another function called len. So len, open parentheses, and then you send in the objects. So we're going to go channel underscore name. And if we print this out, so you can actually wrap more than one function within each other like that. And what's going to evaluate first is len, and then it's going to print it out. Let's print that out. And it returned 8. So basically it starts counting at 1 instead of 0 here. We can then do another function called range. So you could send in the starting index, so that's 0. And then we could do this len channel name. And then we're going to swap this for index. And swap this for index. And let's remove this. And hit play. And see how I have these underscores? It means that I have some error somewhere. And I forgot to close appropriately. So this len had to open and close, which are the purple. And then I had to open and close with the yellow. Common mistake you're probably going to make a billion times in your career. Let's print this now, and you can see we got 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, so now what we could do is we can use this to print out all the letters using the index. We can do channel, open brackets, close brackets, index, and now we're going to print all the characters by index. And we needed channel underscore name, and I didn't hit tab appropriately. All right, so we have trjh tech, but we only want evens. So now we're going to introduce you to another concept, and that is called an if statement. This directs the flow, and it will only do the code if the condition is met. So how do we get only evens? We type in if, open parentheses, then we want the index, and we have to compare the index to something. So what we're going to do is divide it, but not normal division. We're going to use an operator called the modulus. Now, I don't know if you remember this all the way back in school when you used to do division by hand. You'd have the division point for the whole number, and then you'd have something called the remainder. What the modulus does is gives you the remainder. So if you do modulus 2, if you divide by 2, there's going to be no remainder when it's even, and you're going to have a remainder when it's 1. So now we could do double equals 0. And then we have to do a colon again, and this isn't indented. So we have to indent it. So basically we have a loop, and inside the loop there's an if statement, and then only if the condition is met will this print. So now let's hit play, And we got TJTC. Pretty cool, right? But this isn't a very Python-y way of doing it. So there's actually a different way that we could do it without having to use the range. And there is a concept called enumeration. So what you actually should do in Python, enumeration, it's enumerate. So if we enumerate, oops, I cannot spell, should have been this. See how it lights out green? That's how it gave it away. It also had the indent, or the underline underneath. That kind of told me something was wrong here. What this is going to do is return two things, both the index and also the individual character. So then we can do index character in enumerate channel name if index mod 2. And then we could just print, instead of by index, we could just print the character. If we do this, we get TJTC. Now for enumerate, you also can specify another parameter. And to do multiple parameters, you do a comma in between. So you could say when it starts, see this start int. So you could send it an integer of when you want to start. So now let's make it so that instead of having a string predetermined, we actually get an input. So to do this, we're going to declare a variable and we're going to say word equal input, and then we type what we want the prompt to be in the command. So we're going to say enter a word and then colon. And so it's got a prompt in the command prompt down here, or PowerShell. And we're going to have to type in a word. It's going to store that in Word. And then what we don't have channel name anymore here, so we have to put word in place of it. And so now we're going to play this program. It's going to say enter a word. We're going to enter trjh tech and hit enter. And then it's going to do tjtc. And then we can hit up arrow or play to run it again. And we're going to type bananas. And there you go. So now I have a challenge for you. I want you to modify this so that it prints the odd characters instead of the even characters. So that's your homework, is to get it to do that. And what I would like you to do, so when you think you have it figured out, go ahead and paste your solution in the comment section of this video so I can know if you got it right or wrong. I hope that you found this helpful. If you did, subscribe to the channel because we'll be doing a lot more exercises like this. We explain, and then we're going to slowly build up to more and more advanced concepts. Thank you for watching.